Oh boy. Okay. All right, guys. Victory time. In case you didn't see my tweet earlier today, the Raiders. I made an ultimatum to the Raiders because I'll be real with you. It's very tough to talk about bad football every week. It's not that I don't like it, but when it's bad football, it's stressful because I go through it during the game and talking about it after when really we could be like, oh man, let me just get over it. No, I got to go talk about it. And I enjoy doing the show, but I was like, man, if the Raiders just keep losing, I'm just not going to do this shit, man. So what I did is and you guys can credit me for the win. It's fine. I maybe try to find something else, but if you want to give me credit, I won't run from it. I said my podcast is over if the Raiders lose today to a Cleveland team that is essentially not jack shit right now. I'm already seeing Raider Nation. The just the absolute diehard. When I say diehard optimist, I mean diehard optimist. We're all diehard because we watch bad football and we talk about it every week, and we're all diehard. But you know, I think that these guys tried to give that game away, and a lot of the diehard Raider fans are going, "Oh man, you guys are sad about the win, Raider Nation. Sad about the win. You guys are sad that we went out and got a win on the road. How can you be sad? What do get off your high horse? It's like, no, man. I to be honest, I didn't get excited that whole game. I didn't get excited that whole game. I mean, it is what it is, right? The season's pretty much over. I understand mathematically that's not the case, but I don't see them sneaking into the AFC wild card. You have Denver next week. I mean, it's winnable. They're struggling. It could be Drew Lock out there next week. But it was Nick Mullins today, and it took 2 points. It took literally a 2-point win at the end of at the end of a game where they were up 10-0 in the first quarter. I mean, they were rolling. They were rolling. I mean, they looked okay. I was like, okay, you know what? If we can have a nice dominant win, like a 24-3 win, which is what it should have been. I mean, you're going against nobody. Nick Chubb's back there. I understand. There were missing starters on the offensive line. There were still some gaping holes for Nick Chubb to run through. That's concerning to me. And on offense, it's Carr and it's everybody. It's both. Carr is anytime he gets hit, seems like that ball comes out. The lack of mobility in the red zone is always a drive killer. It just is. I understand guys aren't getting separation. I don't believe in forcing it into tight windows. I just wish he could extend plays more, buy some more time. Now I'm not talking about be a Lamar Jackson quarterback. I'm talking about just being like somewhat mobile, just to extend the play a little bit more, keep your eyes upfield. Maybe somebody comes open, or you could even get some yardage yourself. It just never seems to be the case. So the problem with today was yes, playing against nobody, right, and only winning by 2 points, blowing a lead. That's bad too. But also the fact the Raiders demons, every single demon that the Raiders have showed up in this game. And that sucks, man. That sucks. Because had they quieted, early on, it seemed like what Cleveland was doing was really trying to pick the Raiders apart underneath, and the Raiders just weren't having it. They were cheating. They were crashing on every handoff to Nick Chubb. Second half, you started seeing bootlegs and keepers from Mullins, and a lot more open throws were to be had. And yeah, it just, like I said, it just sucks seeing everything come back to, yeah, Aaron Rodgers mobile. That's kind of what I think. Okay, Mark Simmons. That demon is Nick Mullins. Well, I'm reading the chat here. Mark Simmons is saying 538 has Raiders at 86% chance if they win out against Denver, Indy, and the Chargers. Not over yet. And to that I say, well, Nate Silver's. Have you just Google what Nate Silver looks like? Just look at the guy. Nah, bless his heart. Bless his heart. I could actually see them being Denver next week in a similar fashion, right? I just for some reason they seem to match up better with Denver than anybody. I don't know why. They just seem to match up with them. I think Carr does okay against Fangio defenses. Not so much, Brandon Staley, but like just the regular Fangio defense. Carr seems to have nice games. The Raiders seem to beat the teams that Vic Fangio's coaching more often than not, and I could see that. But Indy, you're out of your fucking mind. I'm sorry, like they're just not going to be Indy. Like you would need Jonathan Taylor to tear his ACL next week. You would need Nyheim Hines to break his collarbone. You would need two linemen to go out, and then you would need maybe Carson Wentz to throw like 3 interceptions, right, in that game. Indy is a wagon right now. They are insane in the trenches on both sides, and yeah, no, I don't see that happening personally, and that's not the point. I don't even think that's the point of the season. Like right now, I think anybody who listens to this show seems to be somewhat of a realist about the Raiders. I get called a pessimist, but I do think I'm a realist about it. I mean, they don't win. They haven't won for a long time, and I don't think they're going to win this year. I mean, it is what it is. If you asked me 6 weeks ago, I'd have felt a lot better. But just getting back to this game, like I said, where was the pass rush in this game against a weakened offensive line? I thought in the secondary they did some okay things, but at times got exposed. Had some drops from the Cleveland receivers, which you'd think if they had Landry might be catching. A few of those passes that got dropped in that game. And again, it's Nick Mullins that you were going against. And I understand what Nick Mullins did to the Raiders on Thursday Night Football. I've had to talk to therapists about it, what he did to the Raiders on Thursday Night Football. But they don't, that doesn't move the needle for me. Here's one thing I will say. I see Roland Dubs said that before. I'm going to say this right now. I don't give a fuck where the Raiders draft, what position the Raiders draft in. I don't care. Here's why. It's literally never mattered, right? I care about who the Raiders hire. I don't care if the Raiders miraculously end up picking, 28th in the draft, like, right, or something like that. I don't care. If they don't have the right guy, making the pick, I will not care where they draft. We have seen the Raiders pick, and I talked about this in a space earlier today. If you were in that space, I'm sorry if this is repetitive, but I think we've seen the Raiders pick at 4 under this regime with Mike Mayock. We've seen the Raiders pick at 4. We've seen the Raiders pick at 12. I don't remember what pick Leatherwood was. Was he like 18th or 16th or 18th? We've seen him pick in the 16 to 18 range. I can't remember what they had this year, maybe 17. We've seen them pick at the back end of the first. It's pretty much always been taking a guy that they shouldn't be taking, reaching on a guy. So what I'm saying is I'm okay with winning, a game or two. And I'm okay with winning out, obviously. I'm okay with, I don't care if they end the season 9-8, right? Or 10-7. It's not going to make me feel any better to finish at 6-11. It's not going to make, or whatever, what could it be now? 7-10. I get that's the worst we could get. That's not going to make me feel better. In fact, I'll feel worse about that because, for one, you want to make this team look kind of attractive to a coaching candidate, right? So at least, maybe he might have, I don't know if this game really does it for you, but if you could have a good game against the Broncos coming up and get that win in your division and show that, okay, this might be a team somebody might want to go coach when they're watching film, looking for a job in the off season. So if we make the right hire, I don't care if there are teams, Baltimore Ravens pick in the 20s every year. I think maybe one year they had that one just awful year, but they pick in the 20s every year and they always make a pick that I love for the most part, right? But when you see teams that are always picking at the top of the draft, I mean, there's a reason they're always there. And the Raiders, like I said, have picked everywhere. The Raiders have picked everywhere in the draft, especially in the first round, and it has not seemed to matter. Let's make the right hire. That's a good joke. If we keep the GM, yeah, if we keep Mike Mayock, I want to trade the first round pick next year. I'm sorry, I just don't. I don't want to see a guy back next year that was like, oh well, he never had a say under Gruden. I'm sorry, I am not sticking around for 3 seasons with a guy who does not let me have input in anything, and I'm technically the GM, almost his boss at that point, right? I understand that's probably not the way it works in the Raiders hierarchy, but the Raiders hierarchy sucks, and we need to change that. So yeah, we don't. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat. I'm all over the place here, but like, let's get back to this win today. Um, man, I'm starting to think they might have to take another receiver, and they might have to go all in at receiver next offseason. And I'm not saying that in terms of like go after the big fish on the free agent market, but the Raiders need like 3 wide receivers. And you need like I saw the free agent list, and the free agent list doesn't really inspire me that much. But the back end of the top 10 free agent receivers, which I think the Raiders could be a really good play for, you might have to overpay a little bit, but I think it ends up becoming worth it at that point. I think DJ Chark and Christian Kirk are 2 guys I would go for in the offseason. I'd like to go for those guys. Everybody wants to try to find a way to get Devontae Adams over here. He's going to get franchise tagged. Everybody wants to, get, Allen Robinson. No, a little too old, a little too banged up for me. But yeah, they want DJ Chark and Christian Kirk are 2 guys who I think are on the up right now. I think it would be very, I think it'd be good. Somebody saying Michael Gallup in the chat. I do like Michael Gallup. However, I think Michael Gallup's going to get way more money than anybody thinks. Michael Gallup's only 24 years old. And somebody, and I hope it's not the Raiders, is going to pay him like $11 million a year. Look at what Nelson Aguilar just got. And Michael Gallup has not even had that kind of season that Aguilar had with the Raiders last year. I'm not saying he's better. I think Michael Gallup might end up being a better player. But Michael Gallup, if you watch some Cowboys games, he has some bad drops. And he's got, and you want to sign Will Fuller too. You're going to have Will Fuller. How many games has Will Fuller played in the last 4 years? To me, I like Christian Kirk a lot. I like him a lot. Yeah, Gallup's contract is going to look crazy. Look, if Michael Gallup, I think a lot of the people that want Michael Gallup think it's going to take like 6 or 7 million a year. I'm telling you, he's going to get that the cap is going up this year too. You're going to get, I think it's like 207 mil is the cap and it went down to 180 this year after the COVID season. So you're going to see guys getting big money. And to me, I don't know how much better Michael Gallup is than Christian Kirk, because Christian Kirk's been playing well in the absence of DeAndre Hopkins. And, I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole, because you're going to see guys get cut from teams, guys that ask for trades. There's going to be a way different list. And a lot of those, Devontae Adams, I don't think is ever going to see the market personally. I think he's going to be franchise tagged. So, but this team, receiver, we all know what happened to Ruggs, but this team needs a complete makeover at receiver. And I think if you get a couple 2s and 3s in free agency and make a nice core out of that, then, it's not out of the question that if you know how to draft in round 1 or 2, you could find a legit receiver, right? The Raiders could have drafted Justin Jefferson a couple years ago, right? I believe they just, okay, you're saying they're going to let the Cowboys are going to let Michael Gallup go. Oh, I'm sorry. They're going to re-sign Gallup and let Cooper go. But didn't they just pay Amari Cooper? Yeah. And another thing is scheme too. You're going to get a coach that comes in and he's going to bring in the guys he's familiar with. That happens with every regime. So, it depends on the coach, right? But there are some guys, I think, especially receivers, a lot of them fit. Yeah, I can't say they fit like a glove anywhere. Some guys fit better certain places, but I think receivers pretty interchangeable. I think offensive lineman is what ends up getting changed a lot for scheme, right? If you run zone, you run power, you're definitely going to switch that up. But, a deep threat's a deep threat. And show me a team that doesn't want a deep threat. Every team wants one for the most part, right? Even a team like, the Saints with Taysom Hill are try to throw the ball deep every so often. I mean, it's just part of the game. So I think you're going to eventually need to do that. Now, defensively, that's where I like defensively. I got to know what the scheme is next year. Defensively, you're absolutely right. Offensive line, you're absolutely right. Quarterback, you're absolutely right. I think receivers, for the most part, like I think we can speculate on that now. As far as preference of coach, I've talked about it. Oh, let me bring out my. I talked about this the other day, but hear me out. I think I might have said this on the last one. So if you heard this on the last one, sorry, but I got to talk about it again. I want to speak it into existence. I want Seattle to fire Pete Carroll, and I want Pete Carroll in Vegas. Everybody looks at me crazy at first when that happens. He's old, but dude, that guy's a good coach. That guy's a good coach. A lot of people want to trade for Russell Wilson. I want Pete Carroll. I think they're both going to go in separate directions. I think eventually what's going to happen is I think Seattle's going to want to keep Russell Wilson, so they're going to fire Pete Carroll, right? And Seattle's record is bad. I don't think people realize how bad Seattle is this year. That's a team that hasn't drafted all that well outside of, stumbling into DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett, guys like that are good, but they haven't drafted all that well. I could see Pete Carroll. I mean, he looks good. The guy looks good. He doesn't look like the old decrepit coach. He's the oldest coach in the league, but it doesn't look like the oldest coach in the league, and he's in better shape than Andy Reid. I would give Pete Carroll a better 5-year plan than Andy Reid as far as staying alive. I'm just saying, I'm being honest. Not trying to disrespect Andy Reid, even though I feel like that'd be okay if I did that here. Yeah, exactly. I would take Pete over Russell Wilson. I'm kind of out on trading for Russell Wilson because I think that's going to take a first round pick and then some. And I don't think Russell Wilson, an older Russell Wilson that can't move as well. I mean, because that just doesn't. Even Aaron Rodgers' mobility has slowed down a tad. So what do you think Russell Wilson's is going to do by the time he's 35, right? Because those are the years you're going to be getting. I don't know how old Russell Wilson is, but he's probably like 30. He's probably 31, 32 right now. So if you got him and you're saying this is my guy for the next couple of years, I don't know. I don't know if I do. Yeah, Pete Carroll, I don't love his defensive scheme. And that, to be fair, it might get you to keep Gus Bradley, which does suck. But I think he's a good coach because he gets a lot out of guys that aren't that good. And let me say this. Do you remember the Legion of Boom when Pete Carroll was coaching? The Legion of Boom. Do you remember all the guys that got contracts at other places and they just weren't quite that good? Brandon Browner. I know that they had the whole Adderall thing over there, but like Brandon Browner, Byron Maxwell, those guys didn't go on and like play great ball elsewhere. Like that was definitely a Pete Carroll thing. Guys that played well for Pete Carroll. Seems like guys like him. Mark's also saying, is Carr not coming back? Yeah, we don't know. I'm kind of done with him, honestly. I don't really need to see him back. However, the free agent pool is not great, and I don't know if they necessarily have to draft one of these quarterbacks this year. I don't. I have to watch a little more of these guys beyond just the live game footage that I've watched on college football, a couple beers deep. So I don't know about this draft class yet. There could be somebody that takes, that really strikes my interest. But so far, I haven't just seen that guy. In years past, there were guys, like Patrick Mahomes. I was like, man, I like that guy. Oh man, there were certain guys that had my interest this time of year. And right now, other than Kenny Pickett, who I think will be way out of the Raiders league, and not worth trading your absolute farm to get up to the top 3 picks to get, I don't think that'll happen. Now, that being said, I still think they could get rid of Carr because there's no guarantee the next coach wants him. And yes, I could see them. I can see that happening. But Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, interesting thing, Roland Dubs. You think that Pete Carroll was Russell Wilson was the key to them winning, and I won't say that he wasn't. Now, I'll say this: what age is better, a coach or a quarterback? I think a coach ages better than a quarterback, personally, especially a guy that creates a lot with his legs. Um, I think you could see. Let's look at the Seahawks the last couple of years, right? Russell Wilson has faded down the stretch, very similar to a guy named Derek Carr, where they faded down the stretch. Like remember last year, Russell Wilson was on a tear for the first 5-6 games. Unbelievable. Kind of bad numbers. Just look at his number. Look at his game splits down the stretch. Not very good. Um, and I let's be real, the Seahawks won. Now they had Russell Wilson to make the big play when they needed him. I'll never say that they didn't. And I love Russell Wilson. I think he's great. It sounds like I'm bad mouthing him, but I'm really not. But I'm making a case for Pete Carroll here. I think Marshawn Lynch and that defense combined had at least as much impact as Russell Wilson did in that championship. Because the Seahawks were winning ugly games. They were winning ugly games with that defense and that run game, and they could wear you down late in the game. And since Lynch left, they haven't really found that run game. And I've just noticed a decline in overall play by Russell Wilson. Thoughts on Ravens backup QB Huntley. Pete Carroll with him would be really interesting. Well, Pete Carroll's not going to be calling plays. Pete Carroll's more of a defensive guy. But yeah, I mean, I like Tyler Huntley. I mean, is he available? I think it's very premature to say we should trade like a third or second round pick for him. I like him. I think he's fun. I think he's a lot of fun. I think he actually throws a really nice ball. There's actually things I like. I'm not saying he's better than Lamar, but there's certain things I think he does better than Lamar. But I don't know. Maybe, sure. If you said, hey, Ravens, I'll give you a third or fourth round pick for him, like maybe. But yeah, I want a bridge quarterback next year. And I want to trade Derek Carr while I still think he can get you a first round pick. Now, he hasn't been playing that well lately, so he's not exactly helping his case. But if you can get a late first, early second for Carr, it's not going to be an early second because typically the early second round pick team is not. I mean, they're not going to be trading for a veteran, right? Quarterback. So yeah, I just, to me, and I'll say this again just for anybody who's here. I think Derek Carr is a solid quarterback. I think Derek Carr is very much a product of what's around him. If the team around him is not great, which that's the case right now, then I don't think he plays that well. If Derek Carr has a very good functioning team, which I believe he needs to be traded to, I think he needs to be traded to a New Orleans. I think he needs to be traded to Washington. There's guys like that. I think that's a win-win for everybody. Because I don't think it's happening here with the Raiders. They have not drafted well in the last couple of years around him to where you can win with him right now. We've proven that it's true. We've proven that. There's a small chance he comes back just because maybe the coach doesn't, the coach wants to keep him for another year. The new coach might like him, might like what they saw. But yeah, I don't know. Carroll's age is a thing. Pete Carroll. Yeah, I'm getting asked about Pete Carroll over here. Pete Carroll's age is definitely a thing. I mean, I think Pete Carroll could coach for 4 more years. And then what you do is you have your assistants, right? You have guys underneath him. Like, how many Pete Carroll assistants got jobs? I mean, were they great? No. But Pete Carroll assistant guys, you end up grooming your next one, right? Pete Carroll. Now, I think the age might work as far as Pete Carroll, where if he gets fired, he might not want to go start somewhere else. That's the other thing. Pete Carroll might not want to be like, well, I'm 71, 72. I'm not really trying to get this over. I'm not trying to uproot everything, move and do all that stuff. But yeah. And as far as Carr goes, yeah, I think you're going to see, the reason I say late first and not early second is because the late first round picking teams are better teams that I think are basically a good game managing quarterback, which I believe Derek Carr is, away from contending. You see teams like the Saints, they're rolling out a big gigantic slaw from the Goonies, corn-fed GMO Mormon. Taysom Hill is their quarterback, and it's not that great. But I do think they're well coached, and I think they have a good defense, and I think that's a team that can win with Derek Carr. They play indoors. Yeah, Matt Eberflus is good. I like his scheme. I don't know much about him as an actual coach, but I do like him. That's a good call in the chat. I really like the way the Colts play defense. That's yeah. I like the way they built that defense. I like the way they play defense. I think they have a better scheme than they do overall talent, which is very good for me to when I'm looking at a head coach, is when I see they come from a team that maybe they have DeForest Buckner, they have Darius Leonard, but other than that, they're not like, they don't have like just a star-studded defense. They just play sound football, and those are the coaches I like. Where maybe if he can get guys that are already here to play a little bit better than they have, and maybe we start thinking those were better picks. So that's my goal for the offseason. It hasn't changed after a win today. It hasn't changed. In fact, I feel even more certain about it. Is you trade Carr while his value is still high, get what you can for him. You go into the draft with 3 high picks. You get your, maybe 2 firsts and a second, maybe a first and 2 seconds. You end up getting 3 top picks. And if you have the right hire, if you find that GM, that can turn this team around very fast. Maybe not within a year, because draft picks need some time, but faster than you think. And then you make some. So let's put it this way: if you have 3 first-round picks, let's put my what I've all been saying on paper. If you have 3 high picks. If you have 2 firsts, right? Because you traded Derek Carr, you have 2 first-round picks. Let's say it's pick. I'll give the Raiders right in the middle right now. I'll give them pick 14 right now. Let's just say that much. 14, and then you have a late first, let's say 26, 25. And then you have a second round pick, which is middle of the second round. Let's say you have all that. You feel good about your hire, and then you've also signed guys like a couple patchwork offensive linemen, just to fill in some holes on the offensive line. Maybe get a new center, because that's definitely going to happen. Nobody else is going to give Andre James a fucking chance except John Gruden. So thank God that's out of here. Then you're going to see guys like, if you can get like a Christian Kirk and DJ Chark, and then make some impact picks in the first round. I think that helps this team a lot, even if you don't have the best quarterback. Because that was always my defense of Derek Carr, was that like, he shouldn't have to be that good. You traded all the talent around him to retool the roster. I mean, not all the talent, but a couple big, the 2 other best players besides him, and they punted the picks away. And I think you have a chance to kind of attempt that again in a smaller way in the offseason. You have a chance to retool. You have a chance to do a mini rebuild on the fly. Maybe you're not great. Maybe you're a 7-win team the next year, 6-win team the next year. But if I see the Raiders battling next year, playing tougher, and I see some good, and I see the guys that I like Divine Diablo, Nate Hobbs, if I see guys like that, Max Crosby, Hunter Renfrow still really producing, plus the new stuff that they brought in, plus the new energy that the head coach is bringing in, it can happen fast. The Raiders are a bad franchise, but there's been many times to start it over. They just haven't done it, right? It doesn't take 20 years to rebuild a team. It just has taken 20 years to rebuild a team. At any point, the Raiders can fix this. They had the opportunity to do it, and I think you need to just keep taking cracks at it with different people at the head until you get it right. That's all it is. I'm not saying who they need to pick in the first round. I'm not saying who they need to pick in the second round. I'm saying if you get that higher, get the picks. If you like your GM, if you love your GM, get him some picks. It's simple as that. And that's what this team needs. It just needs talent everywhere. But there is some stuff there. It's not hopeless. They're not Jacksonville. They're not Houston. They're not I shouldn't even say Jacksonville. At least I think they have a pretty good quarterback. that they can build around. But you have teams, you can fix this. I don't think people realize how bad the Gruden regime was here. And I'm talking Gruden, Mayock, and Davis combined. So, you know, like again, I more than quarterback, more than head coach, get the right GM. This team is bad because they cannot draft. That's the reason. You can say, oh, it's Carr. You can say, oh, it's all this. Yeah. Guess what? If this team could draft, they could have replaced Carr at that time. There were, I mean, there weren't that many opportunities. There aren't as many opportunities as people think. But yeah, my ultimate thing right now is I want to see, I want to bring in, a head coach, but I want to bring in like a Fangio style defensive coordinator, maybe somebody from his coaching tree. Brandon Staley came from Vic Fangio's coaching tree. Bring somebody in like that. I want a better, more aggressive defensive scheme. I want to play more man coverage. I don't think these quarterbacks and offenses are too good to exploit the soft spots and zones now. You got to play tight man to win in the NFL. But yeah, so that's about all I got, guys. I don't really have much more. It was a win. I'm glad the Raiders won today. I don't feel that happy. It's crazy. Like, yeah, I can't fake it. I'm still thinking about the big picture here. That's kind of what these last few episodes of the show has just been big picture stuff. I don't really necessarily want to talk about the ins and outs of the game because everybody else does that. And yeah, I think that's it for me, guys. Everybody enjoy the rest of their night. Like I said, I am out. I had hernia surgery not long ago, and I am out for probably 6 weeks. I'm going to try to keep myself busy here. But I'll try to do a lot of this stuff. Try to do a lot of these sports streams and stuff. It definitely helps kill the time because I can't even work out right now. It really sucks. But appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm Glen Rockney. Follow me on Twitter at Glen Rockney. Subscribe to the channel if you don't already. This is RC Sports. And yeah, I'll see you guys around.